And happy good morning to everyone this morning. Welcome to Fuel for
Starting
Success
live?
episode number. Yeah, I'm doing
Okay,
the
just making
intro.
sure. Oh, I didn't see the live button come up. My bad. Thanks for the heads up, my friend.
I did the countdown. Where were you? It's
I'm
one of those days.
I'm here, man. Thank God I'm alive.
Yeah, well, awesome. The awesome thing is yesterday, if you missed yesterday's show, go back and watch it, episode 290. We talked about being insecure in relationships. And so Matt and I are great friends, and we can banter back and forth with no insecurities.
Never
And
get
he can give
hurt.
me a hard time. And he can call me out at the end of every single show and say, Mike, can you give us a quick summary of the show? And I'm okay with it because he does that to me. And so I'm scheming. I'll get him back, but that's how we roll. And we're secure in it. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today's episode 291. We're going to be talking about business development, entrepreneurship, and personal success, because this is fuel for success, to fuel you up, to charge your batteries, to put that nozzle in your gas tank, and bring your level up today so that you can be successful. Myself, my good friend, business partner, Matt Maddox, and good morning, Matt.
Good morning. Great intro, Mike. Man, that was good. Excited about our talk show today. Looking forward to adding some value to some young and old entrepreneurs out there and business owners and people that are trying to be successful. And then I'm glad you showed that because I was getting ready to share that about our webinar tonight. You're not going to want to miss this. Trust me, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mike and I are going to be talking about how to curb your appetite and break sugar addiction. So that's definitely something you're not going to want to miss. And just looking forward to that, Mike. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome. And so we've got some great questions lined up for today about business development, entrepreneurship, personal success, et cetera, et al. I do want to remind you, if you're watching live, first of all, thank you so much for being here live. We appreciate your input and everything you have to say. And you can ask us questions, interact in the chat box over on the other side of Matt there. Or you can text us 727-341-5599 or email us at fuelforsuccess@mattmaddox.com. That'll work.
Well, I know we only got 20 minutes and I saw a bunch of questions come in. So let's see. Don't forget, if you're watching live, you can ask questions simply by typing in the chat box. Again, you can tweet us, Facebook us, email us. Listen, at the end of the day, there's a way to get a hold of us. Just got to stay a little persistent. That's all.
You can get us. Hey, so let me ask you this. First question to come in, and you and I both believe in process. We believe in routine. And I actually want to lead with this question about habits and personal habits, daily habits. We've talked about it a little bit, but what are some habits that you can think of off the top of your head that will help an entrepreneur stay focused on the task at hand? Because we know the power of focus.
Yeah, we know the power of focus, and we also know just from living it what focus can produce and what a lack of focus can, not produce. Lack of focus is
Yes.
the death of business. A lack of focus is the death of an entrepreneur. Focus is his best friend. Without focus, there's no breakthrough. Without focus, there's no success. So habits to stay focused would be, I would say, habit number one, to manage your time and to always work on high priority tasks. Because Mike and I know this. Like when Mike and I get on the phone for tag-ins, there's like a heaviness because we're like, oh my God, the amount, it's not a discouraging heaviness. It's not like, oh my, no. It's like, wow, dude, the amount of details that it just can, the details can absolutely overwhelm an entrepreneur, especially when you don't have a full staff yet, when you don't have secretaries or assistants or whatever, managers or whatever the case may be. You've got to be able to manage your time because so much will pull at you. And the habit of working by priority, literally treat it like an emergency room. Your business has to become like an emergency room, meaning you give your time. Because when you're an entrepreneur, your time equals money. If you don't put your time into your business, then you're not going to be able to generate cash most likely, as you're building systems and processes and sales, marketing funnels, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So what happens is your time becomes your greatest asset as an entrepreneur. Your time has got to be treated higher than gold. It's sacred. It's something, but you've always got to work according to priority. And that's just not easy to do, Mike. It's so easier to sit here and say, hey, always work on the most important task. But when you've got a list of maybe 38 tasks and 20 of them feel like the most important, that can actually slow you up a little bit. And sometimes you can go into your office and just be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do next. And when that happens, Mike, you just have to do it one at a time. You have to grind it out. You have to just pile through it. You have to fight your way through those valleys of all the details and the workload and whatever. But working by priority, probably the third habit to help you stay focused is just keeping good habits around protecting yourself from distraction with things like social media, phone, interruptions. You've got to protect yourself. Oh, it's like this. Block off. Here's a habit. Block off focused work time and be an animal about it. Like be an absolute terror freak, nut, absolute crazy. No way am I allowing myself to be distracted during this block of time. It could be, you can get a lot done in 90 focused minutes. You can get a lot done in one day just by saying, okay, to my family and friends, I love you, but today, I cannot do nothing. I cannot even walk out of this office. Man, that kind of focus can get a lot done, believe me. Saying like, these are little things, protect to help people get focused, Mike. There's much more you can do. I'm just giving you a few basic habits.
Yeah, and I like what you said about sometimes you can feel overwhelmed. You can have a list of 38 things and 20 of them are the top priority. I've been there a lot of times. Sometimes you just hit almost like this vapor lock. Like, okay, I don't even know what to do. Like, there's 20 things here. And what I typically do is it's like the snowball payoff Dave Ramsey technique, right? I take the smallest one first. If they're all equal priority and they're all wicked high priority, it's like, okay, I'm going to take the smallest one. I'm going to knock it out, start building momentum, then the next smallest, and then start working through them. And yeah, Carol's right. Actually, every once in a while, I'll just be like, and I'll just turn my chair around, I'll pick up my banjo and just pick for about 5 minutes. Clears my head, gives me focus, turn right back around and go back to work. Sometimes just that little like moment and to me, it's like a moment of quietness, of calm, of peace. It's almost like a meditation.
Yeah.
Sometimes that really brings clarity to your thought process and that sort of thing.
I like that. I like the momentum what you're talking about because that's key. Because there's been times I've literally walked in my office, had my list right in front of me. Because see, I struggle with working on something. I'm one of those kind of people that I really hate working on lower priority tasks. It's my biggest pet peeve about people. And but see, here's the deal though. I like what you said because sometimes when you're in a situation where there's so much to do, just starting and doing something is a momentum. It can help push you out of this feeling of being stuck. And really the momentum is key because when you get momentum and you start getting things done, then you're like, okay, I'm in a good rhythm here. And then, of course, it's the feeling of accomplishment. But at the end of the day, when you've got big, huge tasks to do, like let's say Mike says to me as a business partner, hey, I feel like you should reshoot all of the videos for My Health 90. Well, that would be a huge task,
Right.
But that's just when you get, like Mike, he does like probably 10 things right now that are bleeding top priority. So, the deal is, you just got to do it. Literally. I mean, there's no easy answer, Mike. There's no easy. If it was easy, we'd have more entrepreneurs and we'd have more millionaires and we'd have more business owners. Business is
Yeah.
brutal. There's your quote for the day, because you do have to get it done. There's no ifs. When you're an employee, you can clock out at 5 o'clock. When you own a business, there are no other ifs, ands, or buts. It's either produce or die. When you're an employee, it is to a degree, but not really. You just got to produce on your job description. But in business, you can't always turn off the lights and say it's time to go home. Sometimes priorities call for you to say, man, I really wanted to watch the sunset tonight, but I just can't. It happened to me last night, man. I was the most gorgeous sunset, and I had to get stuff done, man. I was like, you know what? I can't even leave this momentum right now. That's just
Right.
part of it.
Well, that's a great point. And sometimes, well, first of all, do something, right? Get moving on something, build that momentum. And when you have that momentum, and when you have that energy in the work that you're doing as an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to, put aside everything else and stay in that zone as long as you can, because there's a level of productivity that you can hit that, every once in a while when you're in that flow, when you're in that zone, you just have to stay there. Regardless of what you're canceling meetings, right? You're canceling a date, you're canceling whatever, because you're in that,
Mike,
you're in
I
that
can't
flow.
cancel dates, yo, man. You got that's too sacred right there. No,
I was
you're
thinking
right.
of me.
I've had to cancel dates. I had, because of that, because there was just too much, too much going on with the business, and I just couldn't do it. But I love the analogy, Mike. Good point. You just gotta.
Let me ask you this kind of follow-up question on that. What do you find to be the most productive time of day for you? I know you get up very early in the morning, you go do your workout, you do some things. Is that the most productive time of day for you? Is it later in the day? What's your personal rhythm?
Well, that's funny, because my personal rhythm is best in the mornings, as far as just when I'm the most dialed in. The reason I love getting up early is because of what we talked about earlier, the momentum. When it's 8 a.m. and you've been up for 3 or 4 hours, and you've already exercised, you've already done your breakfast, you're juicing, your habits, my morning routine is a lot of stuff, right? It's a lot of stuff. But my most productive time of the day is really early in the morning. The afternoons from about, say, 3 to 5. And then I love the evenings, especially when it comes to like sales calls. There's nothing worse I hate more than calling and getting people's voicemails. When it comes to sales calls, I like to be able to reach people. So I try to be strategic about that and make my sales calls in the evening, because most people are, at least that I'm reached, that, obviously nowadays pretty much people have all kinds of different schedules. So I'm not saying if you're in sales, you should only make your calls in the evening. I'm saying for me in momentum, sometimes I can get a hold of more people from 6 to 8, or from 7 to 9, or 6 to 9, than what I could all day sitting here just picking up the phone and calling and calling and calling. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. What about you, Mike? I know you. Let me guess. Let me guess what yours would be, and tell me if I'm right. Are you like a really late at night?
Typically, that's my most productive times. Yeah, I also early in the morning, but really when I can really get in the zone, and especially doing coding or some technology work, probably midnight to 4 a.m. is my most productive time. Let me
You know why?
let me
Let
jump
me
to,
guess why that would be. Because you do coding, which means you've got to be pretty focused. And from midnight to 4, no one's pretty much going to be bothering you. Am I correct?
that is true. I think there's also a physiological rhythm that everybody has their own rhythms, but that's primarily it. Yeah, when you're working on deep coding exercises, different things, sometimes it takes 90 minutes to get to the place that you're productive in developing software. Just to, it's like, what it's like if you own a garage and people pull their car in and you have all your tools, they're all set up and you're ready to go. And it's like, okay, we do, you pull into Midas, whatever, to get your brakes done. They have everything there. They're like, pop, 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 pop. And 10 minutes later, your brakes are done, right? if I was to do my breaks out here, it would take me an hour to get out all my tools, get everything set up, find the jack, get the car up, where's my lug wrench, all the stuff. And then, oh yeah, I forgot I need that tool to get and I need a clamp to compress the calipers or whatever. So, it takes that transitional friction or that context switching friction. And so that's probably a lot more info than we needed. But sometimes it takes a long time to get to the place that you're productive because you got to get all your tools around you and you got to get everything set up so that you can fire on all cylinders. And so then it's hard, right? And it's like in a distraction standpoint, it'd be like you're getting your garage set up and then all of a sudden somebody comes and cleans your garage and puts everything away and you're like, oh, I got to start over again. So
yeah.
So that's probably why.
Good analogy, Mike, as always.
Let me ask you this, and this is actually a question that's based on a friend of mine that's also starting a business, and I want to get your feedback on it. He recently, sometimes you get like excitement, you get momentum, and things are popping, and you're like, this is going to happen, and then all of a sudden you hit like a wall, you hit a barrier, you get a disappointment, like maybe a deal you thought was going to go through didn't go through. Maybe in his case, it was like, hey, there's this great new space that he's moving to, and then all of a sudden there's problems with zoning and problems with the city and whatever. And so how do you overcome those setbacks and those disappointments and really sort of launch forward and be successful with it? And I'll get to Lance's question in just a second.
I've actually been doing a series of different books about mental power and the power of the mind and mental toughness. I've gone deep into it because I so believe that it takes, if you're going to be successful, you've got to be just absolutely tough mentally. And I'm trying to also teach this to my son because he's chosen a sport that is literally a game of failure. So it's a game that's 90% mental. So 90% of my training now, it's, for years it's been techniques of baseball, and now that he's pretty much got that correct, it's now just a matter of repetition. So now over the next 4 years, I'm pretty much putting him through a mental training boot camp that I've developed that's insane. I mean, I've really, like, the last probably 6 months, I've had this kind of maniac focus about finding the secrets to mental toughness. And really, because we're working with so many people, hundreds of people that are losing weight. And the weight loss battle is all mental. Even what we're going to be talking about tonight with food addictions, it's mental.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to master the mental game here, my friend. So this is a unique question of how do you survive the disappointments and setbacks and entrepreneurship and like you said, I mean, we've had millions of dollars deals talked about with our company, and the patience in all of this, and plus, sometimes thinking the deal is just about to go through, and then they say, you know what, hold on a second. There is that kind of stuff. There's this sale you think you're going to make and whatever, or maybe, it's just a setback in your business. Mike, you have to get the big picture. You have to understand that you're a partner in your business with God, and that, you have to really trust that. You have to trust the big picture and understand that closed doors, even though they feel like a disappointment and setbacks, and all this. And you know what, Mike? Also understanding that this is part of the journey. Also understanding that this is just part of the game, that it's part of entrepreneurship, that, you could take 5,000 successful entrepreneurs and all 5,000 of them had big setbacks. What do they say? The average millionaire literally has gone broke 2 to 3 times. Literally. I mean, so setbacks, Mike, I've interviewed, the most successful people in the world that have all had like dark setbacks. Look at the Prophet, man. I mean, he literally almost lost his business. Look at Dave Ramsey, the guys on Shark Tank. I mean, the list goes on. Success is not an easy road, man. So how do you do it? Just by understanding this is part of the process. There's something good that's going to come out of this. Staying positive, not marrying yourself to one thing,
Yeah.
not understanding that, hey, you know what? Like I told Mike when one of our offers, was we would have been very happy, and it just didn't happen at that time. You know how disappointed we were about it? I don't think we lasted disappointment more than a day. I mean, I really don't, because we're conditioned here, and our words to each other were, well, we're getting there. We're just taking the long way up the mountain. It's not. We're going anyways. We thought we
Yeah.
were going to get to ride the helicopter, but we're going up the mountain. You know what I'm saying? So that's the deal.
I like that. That's good. And it's part of the grind. And one of the things that I like to say is, if you're going to be in the game, you got to love the game. And the game is everything. It's the sales, it's working through the products, it's working through the disasters that you have to overcome. It's working with, city zoning commissions, if that's the, part of your business. It's everything. So that's all part of the game, and you got to take the game and say, okay, I love the game. If you don't want to play the game, then you know
It's not
maybe you
for
should
you.
work for somebody.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really is.
exactly.
It's not. I love what you said, Mike. Love the game. Love this. Love the grind. Love the pressure. Love the angry customer. Love the setback. Love the trying to find quarters under your couch so you can, buy a bag of Doritos. You know what I'm saying? Not that we would ever encourage you to buy Doritos.
No, we wouldn't. Hey, let me
Thought
jump to
of eating
Lance's
Doritos
question.
makes me literally sick, man. But anyways, go ahead. What were you saying?
Let me jump to Lance's question real quick because he asked a great question. How do you make time for the high value, low priority items, like health, like taking care of your health, which is very high value, but it doesn't bring cash to the table. Personal development, reading, those sort of things. How do you make time for that?
I've tried everything, Mike, and I'm going to just say it. I'm going to say it plain. I don't know how someone can be successful without 12 to 14 hours of, and what I mean by successful, I mean all stuff: family, health, reading, you know, cooking a healthy meal, going for a run, meditating, working out, sales, returning emails, returning calls, returning texts, paying bills. Mike, it's one of those things where you've got to literally have a funeral with the idea of an 8-hour day. You got to have a funeral. You've got to say, okay, I am going to bury, it's dead to me, the idea of 9 to 5, or the idea of easy, or the idea of, really, Mike, most of the time it's going to require either getting up at 5 a.m. or staying up till 2 to 4 a.m. Not that you're this off. I'm still believing that you should get six hours of rest at least. I do believe that. So that means you got to be dialed up the other 18 hours, and you've got to learn how to plan. You've got to learn how to execute. You've got to not be a time waster. You've got to say no to a lot of good stuff. For me to be able to be the dad that I am, plus my health, plus business, plus ministry, that takes the focus of a heart surgeon. Like, it's not easy. There's nothing easy about it except for the fact that you just do it 1 minute at a time, and you roll with it. What messes people up, Michael, is when they stop and start thinking about it. You know what I've learned? Even though I'm a meditator and I'm a thinker, and sometimes it's not uncommon for me to sit and think for 2 hours, I don't think a lot about the pressure, the problems, the grind, because I think that's an energy killer. I'm just one of those people that says, it's got to be done, let's do it. Like if I had a road trip and I had an 18-hour drive, you're not going to be hearing me bellyache about an 18-hour drive. I'm just going to say, let's go. I'm going to do it 1 mile at a time and not dread it, and not, get overwhelmed with all the details. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they develop this kind of messiah complex where, like,
Yeah.
man, they're always like, they're making a joke out of how, like, busy they are. Oh my God, it's just, you can't do that. You just got to roll. You got to do it, man. I mean, I know that's simple, but I don't know of another way. Do you, Mike?
No, and I see a lot of people like don't talk to me about downtime. If you're sleeping 6 hours, that's your downtime. Shut up, get to work. Sorry.
That's
You
a
know what I'm
cool.
saying? I mean, really,
Shut
people are like, oh, I gotta have downtime. I don't take downtime and I don't take relaxation time unless it's in some way productive, right? If I'm spending time with my family because I'm putting energy in that, that's one thing, right? If I'm meditating, I'm meditating on something, I'm doing something. It's not like I'm just and so here's my short answer. Take an inventory over a week's time of how much time you spend on entertainment in any form. That's your number one priority to cut. Get it out of your life. You don't need entertainment.
Yeah, it really is. And Mike, how many times have we heard the stories of people like Mark Cuban that didn't take a vacation for 7 years? The list could go on and on of all the people that had this. People look at Dave Ramsey and say that guy's so lucky because he's got all this money. I'd venture to say 95% of entrepreneurs couldn't even keep up his workload. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, we can feel jealous of same thing with the Prophet, same thing with any of the sharks. I mean, you think because somebody's wealthy that they're sitting on a yacht and sipping pina coladas in Aruba. It's not like that, man. It's really not. Yeah, they might get that. Sure, they might have maids and, they might have things that make their life easier, but they still work just as hard. I can assure you. I just know it, man.
Yeah. Most of them outwork most of you. Period. So
So
that's just a reality. Hey, quick one last
work.
question.
Say
I
it
got a
real
jet.
quick. Quote of the day. I got to remember. Quote of the day. Shut up and work. Shut up and do it. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, actually, on my wallet right there it says "Shut up and execute." I look at it every day.
My wall right here says.
It's my
Anyways, go
note to
ahead.
myself.
What
It
final question did
says
we?
shut up. Yeah. Just what Pacey was asking. Do you find it challenging to shut down at the end of the day?
Yes and no. I usually when it's time to go to bed, I'm so tired that by the time my body hits the bed, I'm just gone. Usually. As far as
Yeah.
shutting down because of the passion and like Mike said, the love of the game. It is tough sometimes to say, okay, it's time to shift gears here and whatever. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like it is. Okay, even like when I spend time with my son, I really believe in quality time. But there'll be a few times Caleb will be like, Dad, are you here? Are you okay? I'll be like, yeah. I'm just working through some details in my mind. I'm sorry. Like sometimes like it's hard when you to transition when you're in like full throttle, you know what I mean? To like transition over into husband and I'm not married right now, so um and then, to dad. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
anyway, what
Somebody at
about
the
you, Mike?
door. What was that?
Going
At the end of the
amazing.
day, I have zero trouble transitioning at the end of the day. Sometimes I do, like if I walk out of my office, I'm gonna go, do something else. Sometimes my mind is still engaged in details and whatever, and I'll have to sort of make that transition. But at the end of the day, I don't have any problem at all. I'm no, I like, what? When my head hits the pillow, I'm asleep. Done. 30 seconds. So I'm blessed that way.
That's a blessing.
Uh,
What were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
well, there's a bunch of questions we didn't get to, but it was a great show, great content. I appreciate everything you had to say today, my friend. So remember
Well,
tonight, webinar.
yeah, I'm gonna go and execute on what we talked about, and I appreciate all the questions and comments. I loved some of the stuff Lance said. I love that basically he's saying Mike's not keeping up with the Kardashians, and I think that's correct. Is that
Not
right,
at
Mike?
all.
And then
Yeah,
by the
I don't know
way,
who that is.
can I say this because everybody else is expressing their opinion? I'm 100% against sex changes. I just wanted to throw that out there because it's our talk show. But
I'm with you on
anyways,
that.
that's a whole nother show. Maybe it's our talk show. We'll talk. Every other news reporter and ESPN was talking about it yesterday and celebrating it. I'm like, what's this got to do with sports? But anyways, Mike, yes, put our webinar link up there real quick because I want everyone to have it. I want every one of you, if you are our friend, post this on your wall, Facebook, Twitter. Send it out. Let people know, hey, got to go to this talk show. It's free, or it's a webinar actually. We're going to have a PowerPoint. We're going to be teaching about how to curb your appetite, so you're not always having hunger pains and always so hungry. And then also, my friends, click that link and there it is. You see that link? Just click it.
Yep.
And then, yeah, right up there.
It's hard to do because we're mirror. Wait, here, let me.
You got to twist
Flip
your
it.
wrist in a way you don't like
It's over
twisting
there.
your wrist. There you go. So, what'd you do?
I've mirrored me. Crazy, huh? See, I can
Crazy.
rotate it.
You'll have to train me how to do that. Anyways, go check that out, my friends. Mike's having fun over here with this mirror. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll be here tonight at 9 o'clock to help you break your sugar addictions, my friend. Love y'all. Enjoy your day. Thanks, Mike. Don't forget, you can watch any of our previous episodes on fuelforsuccess.tv. Y'all have an awesome day and go succeed. And like Mike says, shut up and work. That should be a song. Shut up and work. I might write
Shut
one.
up and work.
Shut
Love
up
y'all.
and work. All right. We love you guys. God bless you.
Bye-bye.